Hey y'all. So my name is Quada and this is my very first YouTube video. So be kind to me, please. Cause I ain't doing nothing to y'all. It's like not for real. But I'm about to tell y'all and share with y'all from today forward my infertility story and journey, IVF journey. The journey to my babies. I don't have them yet. I'm going through IVF right now. So, my story started back in 2018. It's long, so I'm going to keep it brief, Keep it brief. If I cry, don't judge me. Touchy story. For me, anyway. So, and I want to show you what's in my box. So, but that's gonna wait to the end. So, anyway, oh, and I did this. I painted this. I'm an artist as well. Yep. So, anyway, my story started back in 2018 when I started a period. And unfortunately, the period never went away. So, throughout the time from July to December, I'm bleeding nonstop, just nonstop. So, go to the hospital in December. Y'all, I'm gonna try to cut it down as short as I can. I'll go to the emergency room in September because I was in a bathroom, y'all. This is in December. I'm in a bathroom and I'm literally on the squatting beside the toilet. Like, I'm beside the toilet squatting because I'm bleeding and I'm in so much pain. And I had the feeling to push, right? But I couldn't push on the toilet. I knew I wasn't pregnant. I knew it wasn't a baby. So I thought my vagina was falling out. I was like, oh my God. Oh, my vagina falling out. So I'm crying because, for one, I'm in pain. Two, something is about to come out me. I'm about to give birth to an alien because who's gonna be the daddy? So, anywho, I'm in pain. I'm on the floor and I'm pushing, squatting on the floor and I'm pushing. So finally, the skin come out. The skin, I have a little hand, so the skin was bigger than my hand. It was big. Went to the emergency room with the skin. Doctors came in. They kept asking me, "Are you pregnant? Was you pregnant? Did you miscarry? Did you just have a baby?" No, and no. They never looked. They looked at the skin, but they never took the skin to do a biopsy on the skin or anything. So many doctors came in my room that night, and they all asked me the same thing. Well, are you sure you're not pregnant or you wasn't pregnant? Y'all just did a pregnancy test, so y'all know I'm not pregnant. Come on now. Like, they was irritating me. So I in there for a few hours. They sent me home with ibuprofen and told me to follow up with my GYN. Now, remind y'all, I'm going back to July when it started. Went to my GYN. He did ultrasounds, blood work, nothing. He put me on different kinds of birth control, but nothing helped the bleeding. So after I went back to him in December, after I left the hospital, he did an ultrasound and more blood work. And he said the hospital should not have released you. They should have did surgery or told you that you needed surgery. And I'm like, oh my God. So this man literally gave me 7 days to get my blood work done, to get a physical, get everything situated before surgery. So this was literally in December, right before New Year. My surgery was January 4th of 2019. Yep. So y'all know it was hard getting appointments and stuff because everything is closed. holidays, New Year coming up, like everything was, it was hectic. It was busy. So got everything done. Went and had my surgery. Surgery went good. They removed my fibroids because that's what it was. I had fibroids, so they wasn't sure if a fibroid ruptured or not. So they removed fibroids and polyps. They didn't cut me open, thank God. Thought I'd been down even longer than what I was. They went in vaginally and did a ablation, a myomectomy ablation. So what they did was they just burnt the inside of my uterus to remove the polyps and fibroids. After that, only thing after the surgery, I remember waking up to a lady saying, here you go, sweetie, take these. She could have been poisoning me or anything. I just seen a little cup in her hand. I just, boom, boom. And then I remember being in the room with my mother. I don't remember anything in between. Once I was in the room with my mother, I remember her saying, Quetta, Quetta, and laughing at me. And I remember getting up, standing in the walkway of the restroom. I don't remember anything after that. I remember being home in the bed. I don't remember anything. The doctors, they prescribed me some ibuprofen and a narcotic. I didn't take the narcotic. I just took the ibuprofen and just slept my way through the pain. I was in a lot of pain too, but I just slept my way through the pain. Then I had this pain. It was like right here, and I still have this pain till today. I didn't have this pain before surgery, so I'm like, well, maybe it's where one of the fibroids was at, where they removed it. And then I'm like, okay, you know, they say it's going to take 6 weeks to heal, so I'm like, okay, whatever. After my 6-week checkup, I told the doctor, I have this pain. I'm not bleeding anymore, but I have this pain, and it hurts bad. So he said he don't know what it is. He don't know what it's coming from. You know, just to take it easy and all the other stuff he was saying. But my concern is, what is this pain? So he said maybe it's still from the surgery because it takes longer to heal from the inside. I'm like, okay, cool. So he told me try not to get pregnant within a year because this is 2019. Yeah, try not to get pregnant within a year because it's a great chance for miscarriage. Okay, cool. Put me on birth control. Living my life. You know, out here living life. No more bleeding. So I'm like, yes. Wearing my white pants. Just living life. Yo, do y'all not know July of 2019 I started the period? And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, start off regular. And it never stopped. Went back to my GYN. He switched to birth control pills. And what he did, he switched me from a pill to the NuvaRing. Still nothing. Still bleeding. And then he did another ultrasound, and the fibroids was back. So he was telling me that he's not going to do another surgery because it'll be a waste of time and cutting me and going back at me, making me recover all that time again, because he said they just going to keep coming back. He said the fibroids feed off of your blood supply. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. He said the only way to get rid of them is through a hysterectomy, but he's going to try to avoid that and figure out what else we can do. So the years going past. I'm going back and forth to the hospital because the skin keep coming out me. I'm in pain, still bleeding, back and forth to the clinic, back and forth to the hospital. Just like, it was getting exhausting. So what's it? I think I got my years mixed up. No, I'm right. So, I go to see like a few doctors. I seen like 5 or 6 doctors, and they literally all said the same thing: hysterectomy, hysterectomy. So I'm like, I don't even have kids yet. I'm 30 years old. At the time I was 30. I'm like, I'm 30 years old. I don't have no kids. Like, what? What? I wasn't trying to hear none of that. So, what happened? Oh, I went to the emergency room again because the skin came out again, bleeding, in pain, and I'm like, my vagina is falling out. Like, my vagina is falling out. Gets to the emergency room, and I'm literally bent over, y'all, like bent over like this. The front desk chick, she says, what brings you in today? So I'm telling her, I feel like my vagina is falling out and I'm bleeding nonstop. Do y'all know I was in the waiting room for almost 2 hours? Maybe longer than that. In pain. After I told them my vagina was falling out. At the hospital stop. So I'm in there. They did the same thing they did all the other times. Told me to follow up with my GYN. Gave me ibuprofen and sent me home. They never took biopsies of none of the skins that I took in with me. So it got to where as though at a certain point I would just like forget it and flush it in the skin. The doctors don't want to see it anyway. They're not going to do anything to it anyway. So I went, after that last hospital visit, I went home, and the hospital, somebody from the hospital called me back. And the lady, she told me who she was, told me where she worked, and she told me that she overheard the conversations, overheard everything, and she looked me up and wanted to help me out. So I'm like, okay, thank you so much. So she gave me a doctor name, telephone number, and the name of the clinic to go to. She said she thinks the doctor can really help me. So I called the clinic that the lady gave me, and they said they didn't have any appointments until like the next month or the month after. Called the lady back and I told her, and I thanked her, for trying to help me. She said, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna call you right back. Y'all, this lady called me back with an appointment date and time. And I think it was like 2 days later. Like, what? So I thanked her, went in, seen a doctor. She did blood work, ultrasound. She wanted me to release my files, from my hospital visits from the doctor so that she can see and go over everything. She went over everything. She said she didn't know what it was. Her first time saying anything like that. I showed her pictures of the skins that was coming out me. She said she didn't know what it was. She said it was fibroids rupturing that could be bad for my health. Because of a fibroid rupture, it could poison my bloodstream. So I'm like, that's scary. So after a couple visits with her, and I let her do her research and everything, she did finally say, she apologized and was like, she felt like the only thing that would really help me was a hysterectomy, was to help stop the bleeding and the pain. So I'm like, okay. But she told me the longer I wait, the worse things will get. This 2021, she was right. It's worse. it's worse. I would literally wake up out my sleep crying. I be at work, I've been down on the floor, start crying because like the pain is bad. I wouldn't wish this pain on my worst enemy. But I told her, I said, I don't have kids. Like, what do you mean a hysterectomy? So she gave me a slip. She gave me a piece of paper with all like the fertility clinic numbers on there, and Shady Grove was the first clinic on there, and it had like a asterisk beside Shady Grove. So after I left her, I called my original, my regular, what's it called, gynecologist. Called him, went in for an appointment. You know, me and him sat and we talked about everything, and he said he was trying everything possible. He was looking into different things, you know, to see what would work besides surgery, and he didn't come up with anything besides a hysterectomy. So I told him, I want kids. I want kids. I'm not having a hysterectomy without having kids. So he gave me a referral to Shady Grove. Called Shady Grove, made an appointment. This was $2019. Yep, this was still 2019. Called Shady Grove, made an appointment. First appointment I didn't go to because I'm like, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know my body. You don't know me. That's how I felt. And I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not going to this appointment. Then one day, y'all, I was in so much pain. I called Shady Grove, made another appointment. I think I canceled like 3 appointments, if I'm being honest. The 4th appointment, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to. Went in, had a consultation. I had like a page and a half, almost 2 pages of questions that I needed to ask. The doctor answered every question that I had. I think our consultation lasted almost 2 hours because I needed to know everything. He showed me graphs and charts and, you know, where I would be on the chart, where I was on the charts and everything, as far as like my fertility go. He said he wanted to do some more tests and blood work of his own to have better, to have a better understanding of what was going on with me. He told me that based on what he's seen in my record so far and based on what my GYN has told him, he recommended I did IVF straight up. No, I asked him what was my chances of, you know, conceiving with IUI. He said it was low, but I decided to go with IUI anyway because for one, it's less invasive and it's cheaper. And then I went home and I went on YouTube and I Googled a lot of people who have had fertility issues and has had successful first rounds of IUI. So I'm like, I'm going with the IUI. So I called him, told him I was going with the IUI. He said, okay, great. Come in the 3rd day of your period. When you start your period, come in day 2 or 3. So started my period. No, that's not what happened because I wasn't starting a period. I was on medroxyprogesterone. That's to stop the bleeding. So he told me to stop the progesterone. And once I stopped it and I started bleeding, then come in for ultrasound. Did that, went in for ultrasound, blood work, everything was good. Went in for the process, and I'm just like, yes, this is gonna work. But at the same time, I was very doubtful. I was very doubtful. Went in for the blood work and ultrasound, and I think I went in like every week or so. They sent me my medicines in the mail. I was excited about that. I was recording everything, but I was putting everything on Instagram and Facebook. Uh, so after taking like the meds for like a week, went in, I was taking letrozole, 2.5 milligrams of letrozole. Went in for ultrasound to see if my follicles was growing any, and they wasn't. Like, they was not growing at all. I'm gonna try to wrap this video up soon because it's at 20 minutes. So, they wasn't growing at all. So they put me on. They started the letrozole over. So they said once they started over, I wouldn't get a cycle, but it's like they starting the cycle over. So they put me back on letrozole, but they put me on, I was still on 2.5 milligrams, but I was taking 2 tablets instead of 1 for 7 days. So I did that. Then I went in and my, so the whole time on in each ovary, I had over 30 follicles. I had over 30 follicles on each ovary, but like I said, they wasn't growing. So I did a ultrasound, and my nurse called me and was like, do your trigger shot within an hour or so. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was excited. I left work, was preparing myself, did my trigger shot, and I was nervous doing that shot. I never gave myself a needle, so excuse me. It was nerve-wracking. I was nervous. Excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. I just ate mussels. It was so good. So I did my trigger shot. Went in the next morning to have my IUI. Went in, confirmed my sperm donor, where I got the person from, his number, ID number and everything. So I'm like, yep, that's it. Lay down on the table. And I don't lie to y'all not. I felt like she was done within 2 seconds of me laying down. And then she told me that my vial had 14 million sperms in there. Which was good. They wanted 10 million or more. I had 14 million. So they told me to wait 2 weeks and then come in to do my blood test, do a beta blood test. And I waited 2 weeks, and I did not take a pregnancy test as bad as I wanted to take one. Throughout that 2 weeks, I was having like these vivid dreams. My boobs was swelling up. I was feeling like irritable. But every day I would like talk to my stomach, rub my stomach. I was eating healthy, drinking plenty of water. I was doing everything. She told me PUPA, pregnant until proven otherwise, PUPO. So I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant. So that's how I carried myself, like I was pregnant. And went in after that 2 weeks. Oh, I did my IUI last year, 2020. Went in after the 2 weeks, and I wasn't pregnant. So it took me a long time from 2019 to August of 2020, because I went in, I had a doctor's appointment September. And I was like, after I go for my doctor's appointment, this was in 2019, I'm jumping back and forth, I'm sorry. But I was like, in September, after I have my IUI, I'm gonna go see my sister, surprise her, really didn't know her that well, but we talked a lot. So, and she was somebody I confided in. And I was like, I'm gonna go see her, I'm gonna surprise her, I'm gonna contact her kids, so I can go see her. And then my cousin passed away. And then 2 weeks later, my sister passed away. So I canceled my appointment. That's why it took me so long. But yeah, it was 2019 was a crazy year. It was tough. So, anywho, now I'm doing my IVF. So I just went to the doctor Tuesday. When I go to the doctor, I went to the doctor Tuesday. I did blood work, ultrasound. No. That was last week. This week I did a mock embryo transfer. So they didn't do anything but look at my uterus to make sure everything was, clear and everything. And everything was good. And I'm so happy. I can't wait until my next appointment. I'm so excited, y'all. I feel more confident this time than I did last time. Like, I'm so excited. Every day I wake up and every night before I go to sleep, I thank God and I say my kids' names out loud. So I just thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. And I will be coming back with a part 2 to my video because I still got to share my box and the rest of my story. Thanks, y'all.